Hey, welcome back to Fox 5's On the Hill live this Sunday morning. The RFK Stadium deal to bring the Commanders back into Washington, D.C., it's still in limbo. There's a brand new report that was commissioned by the D.C. Council that highlights potential risks related to maintenance, to parking, and a safety plan. This week, D.C.'s council also got pressure from Congress to vote on the deal. Republican Congressman James Comer, who's the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, sent a letter to the council pushing for the vote before the council recesses in August. We spoke with the council chair, Phil Mendelson, this week.
We've had the legislation for 6 weeks. That's how long we've had it. I know it's been in the news a longer period of time. I did reach out to his office to talk to them, but they have not gotten back to me. I'm as anxious as everybody else to get the deal done, and so we're working on it.
I want to welcome in Emeka Moneme. He is the president of the Capital Riverside Business Improvement District, or BID. He's been very involved with the Nationals Park and the Navy Yard development. Thanks for being with us this morning. Obviously, there's been a lot of attention on this, but a lot of it is focused on what the benefit to Washington, D.C. would be to invest this money, about $1 billion into this project. You've looked at this. Will D.C. get a return on this money?
Well, what I will say, Tom, first, thanks for having me. What I'd say is that D.C. has a history of doing this right. And doing this, I mean investing in professional sports venues as a way to build community. So we've done it downtown with the Capital One Arena. If you go back 25 years, that transformed downtown. If you look at my neighborhood where I work, Nationals Ballpark, Audi Field, those two have been major investments to turn and transform that neighborhood. We also did in Ward 8 with the Entertainment Sports Arena. I think we have the opportunity to do the same at RFK.
One of the myths about this has been that the D.C. is going to build a stadium, give $1 billion to help build the stadium. That's not really where the money's going, right? Like, this $1 billion is not for the stadium. The Commanders are building the stadium. What is this $1 billion going to primarily for infrastructure, from what we understand?
Yeah, that's been the history. The city's invested in the infrastructure to allow these neighborhoods to develop. In our neighborhood, it was the expansion of the metro system by putting another station stop right there at Half Street to make it easy to walk in, to build infrastructure on the riverfront to connect that area. Improvements on bridges, the Frederick Douglass Bridge, which we all see and love, was an important part of that. So at RFK, the same investment's going to be made in terms of streetscapes, access to the stations, and I know parking is a big part of the investment as well.
And I think if people don't think this is important, look at what happened when, oh my God, they announced a couple of years ago that maybe the Capitals and the Wizards might move to Virginia.
Exactly.
And a flurry of activity went to save the arena because of the economic impact it would have on Gallery Place in Chinatown as well, too. Are stadiums, and these enclosed stadiums in particular, magnets for economic development and housing? We know people want to go to them, but do they stay there, live there, work there, spend their dollars there?
What I'll say is nothing that happens in a city happens by accident, right? So I think that not every stadium is the same, so certainly that same investment in another city might not produce the same outcomes. But what we've seen in the city, we've been really smart about making sure we pair that investment in the infrastructure to support a stadium with investments in housing, commercial attraction, and really public realm investments to kind of create places, doing placemaking. We've gotten that right more times than not in the city.
And the fact that this is going to have housing as a component of it, that's a little bit different than we see in some other cities when they go and they build a sports stadium. Look at Philadelphia.
Exactly.
Nothing against the Eagles. We know who we root for. But you go to the stadiums in Philadelphia, it's a parking lot and it's a building. Same thing with the New York Giants and the Jets as well, too. It's a parking lot and a building. That's not what the Commanders are talking about here, are they?
Right. No, I don't think so. I mean, again, if you look, the plans that were laid out for the Southeast before the stadium had office development, residential development, and you had the stadium was going to be tucked within it, almost like a European model of development. That's really what I think we've gotten right more times than not. I hope to see the same thing at RFK.
When the letter came in this past week from Congress, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, he said that the intent of the transfer of the control of the site to Washington, D.C. was for this stadium. If the council were not to vote on this by this August research and this project gets delayed, Could that stifle other development at that site? Charles Allen, who's a council member who's been a staunch critic of this deal, says, well, we can do all of this anyway. We don't need a stadium. Is that necessarily true?
Well, you know what? I'm not going to step into spaces I'm not supposed to step in. I am sure that there's
I'll help you with this.
Okay.
You're an economic development guy.
Okay.
This stadium's supposed to be a magnet for all this other stuff. Does all this other stuff happen if it doesn't have a stadium?
Good question. No, I think that what you have in the city is you do have the potential for all of this development to happen. What we saw at Nats Park is that the stadium was a catalyst, that it accentuated and accelerated that to happen. So I think that you're going to play a little bit of both. We can have that development. The stadium itself is going to really catalyze it in a way that's special, and we've seen that before in the city.
Emeka Moneme joining us live this morning. We thank you so for your insight and analysis and all this.
All right, Tom.
I don't think we're done yet.
Thanks, Tom.